Hi everyone, this is Emily Leapart here for Tailored Expressions, and in today's video, I'm sharing a set of mini slim cards featuring the Little Critters Christmas stamp set and coordinating dies, as well as the Just Saying Christmas stamp set. These are the next installment of the adorable Little Critters stamp set and Just Saying sentiments, and they're perfect for the holidays. The Little Critters Christmas stamp set offers its own sentiments, but it's nice to have all the extras from Just Saying Christmas so you can mix and match with the different images. The first thing I'm going to do is stamp out all of the images on sugar cube cardstock using Oreo ink. All 9 images fit nicely on an A2 panel, and I stamp out 3 panels at once, so I would have extras in case I wanted to make large groups or multiples of each critter. When the stamping is done, I choose my card bases, and I'm going to make mini slim cards. The colors I chose are Watermelon and Granny Smith, both of which are top fold cards sold in the rainbow pack of slimline card bases. The other 2 are Cherry Pop and Pea Pod, which I've cut from 8.5 by 11 sheets of colored cardstock, so these 2 open from the right. Now I'm going to speed up my coloring process 20 times and put on some music. I did very basic coloring and not as much shading as I would do on larger images. Now you'll see me arranging all the different elements on the front panel that make up the card. This first one is the Granny Smith top folding card base. The main panel was cut from sea salt cardstock using the mini slim square window cutting plate, which is a favorite of mine for mini slim cards. I've cut out several colors of square window frames, and I'm mixing and matching both the frames and centers to see which combo I like best against the card base. For the holidays, sparkle is a must, so I've also die cut these windows from gold glitter cardstock. I end up swapping out the Granny Smith card base for the Pea Pod card base, which I feel goes better with the red frames. Then I decide to feature the penguin and snowman on this card, which results in black inserts. These 2 critters are mostly black and white, so they really pop on the black background. Once that's done, I move on to the next arrangement. This card base is watermelon, and the panel is once again the mini slim square window cutting plate, but this time it's cut from sugar cube cardstock. This time I go for a lot of bling, and I want to use the reindeer and fox, which are mostly brown animals. Clearly I want to incorporate some of the Granny Smith cardstock, but not sure how at first. Then I decide to layer the square frame underneath the gold frame, so a bit of black peeks through, and use Granny Smith backgrounds for the perfect pop that coordinates with the critter's accessories. For the next 2 cards, I'm layering the Petite Scallop Mini Slim Stacklets and the Stitched Mini Slim Stacklets. For the card with the stitched sugar cube panel, I want to create some stenciled frames for the background, so I'm going to use the Square Mini Slim Windows stencil. Then I'm going to layer the candy cane striped stencil on top, and use Cherry Pop ink and a coordinating blender brush to create the background. I love those candy cane stripes, and I'm going to use Mr. and Mrs. Claus on this card since they make the red stripes pop. I had the worst time with that middle square, trying to decide which color to use for the insert. I finally decided on vellum so the stripes would still show through, but not be as bold as the ones with the critters. Here's where I swap out the scalloped panel for the final card. On this card, I'm going to feature the cute elf on his own, and since he's on his own, I'm going to make his background gold, so it's extra special. Now it's time to assemble all the pieces on each card. I use a tape runner to adhere the main panels, then I use Barely Art liquid glue with its fine nozzle to adhere 2 layers of each frame so they have a bit of dimension but are still easy to mail. For the critters, I use liquid glue on the base where they slide in between the 2 layers, but I add a small amount of foam tape to the top of their heads so they literally pop out of the frame. I love doing this to add a bit of dimension but not too much. It's also a fun look. Here's a quick look at the card bases before I stamp and add the sentiments. If they look like a lot of fun to make, I can confirm that they are, and they should be easy to mass produce. For the elf card, I'm going to stamp his sentiment directly on the panel underneath the frame. Since it's risky to do it this way after all the pieces have been attached together, I need to make sure that it's perfect before stamping. I use a sheet of acetate to do a practice run, and when I know it's straight, I can remove the acetate and stamp it for real. I really love this clean and simple design. Next, I'm going to heat emboss all of the sentiments from Just Saying Christmas with one of the sentiments from Little Critters Christmas. I'm using watermark ink to stamp the sentiments on Oreo cardstock, then I heat emboss them with gold embossing powder. Gold embossing on these sentiment strips is always so striking and beautiful. I used the mini strips die to cut out these sentiments, and I've chosen Ho 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 with Jingle All the Way for this card. I like the way the 2 strips look on an angle, but I couldn't convince myself to do it at the time. Looking back, I think I should have. What do you think? Either way is great. I also heat embossed these sentiments on sugar cube cardstock because I love the way gold looks on white, but I didn't end up using those for my card. For the 4th and final card, I decided I needed to heat emboss white sentiments on watermelon cardstock. I was missing one of the sentiments on the first pass since I had taken it out, thinking that I would stamp it on its own with an acrylic block. After including it, I decided to change the sentiment I picked in the first place, but it's all good. I now have all these extras to use for more cards. After all the strips were die cut, I used the mini strips backer die to cut frames for some of the strips which I thought were missing something. The backers added just enough to make the single strips appear more polished. I attached the 2 layers together using liquid glue, then add bits of foam tape to the center and edges on either side of the frames. I assemble the rest of the cards in the same manner, and here's a look at all the finished cards. They range from simple to more complex. You'll have to tell me which one is your favorite. It's very hard for me to choose, and I suspect it'll be the same for you. I hope you enjoyed this video and you're inspired to create with the Little Critters Christmas stamp set and coordinating dies, as well as the Just Saying Christmas sentiments. You can find all of these products in the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.